Hey there, Doc. Happy Sunday to you. I wasn't planning on doing a video for a blog post today, but I heard something this morning that kind of made me think of something I want to share with you. So, as I said, it was Sunday. I was watching a Sunday NFL Countdown this morning, and Chris Berman was interviewing Coach Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you may not know, as of right now, they have the best record in the NFL. They're 9-0, undefeated. They're playing the Broncos tonight. And last year they were 2-14. So Chris Berman was just talking to him about how he made such a big change from being 2-14 to currently being undefeated, and the only undefeated team in the NFL right now. And Andy Reid just said something that just really struck me, because it's kind of the way I've focused on my coaching, my consulting over my years. Is he said that he got the offense to buy in because he created a scheme that matched their identity. And those were his words, a scheme that matched their identity. And that just really met for me, because a lot of coaches, our great coaches, might go to a new team and not have such success because they bring their scheme with them. They don't create a new scheme. And I'm sure the new scheme has a lot to do with the way Andy Reid's coached all his life. But again, he mentioned that he made it to fit the strengths of his players, to match their identity. And I think that's hugely important in chiropractic business. It's something, again, that I've been preaching ever since I started consulting 5 years ago. Even before that, back in my management days when I owned 7 clinics, I focused on trying to get the most out of each doctor, of my associates at that time. So I kind of practiced that as well. I didn't ever come in to my associates with a model and say, here's the model, do this and you'll be just fine, because to be honest, I did early in my career, and I realized it drove me crazy, it drove my associates crazy. So after a little while, I realized that I had to create a different model for each one of my associates. And now that I'm doing consulting, I'm doing the same thing. And the one thing I want to leave with you is to make sure that you find a model that matches your identity, or you create a new model around your identity. And again, that's just something I've focused on for these last 5 years. Is not going in like a lot of consultants do and trying to give you a model. And I see a lot of failures, consultant failures. Not that those consultants weren't great, simply that particular doctor that I'm now talking to, because they didn't get good results from other consultants, didn't match with the identity of the consultant. They didn't match with the model. So consultants on the phone saying, here, do things my way. And the clients over there saying, well, that's not really me, and I can't do that, and they might leave out a few bits and pieces, and then the whole model really is useless, because if it's a model. If you don't use all of it, like a recipe, it doesn't taste very good. If you don't use all the model, you're not going to get great results. So what I tell all my clients, and what I do for them, and what I'm recommending to you, is that you create a model around your identity. Now, a lot of those business principles are going to be the same. But the way you do a new patient consultation, the way you do a report of findings, your re-exams, all these things, you can't just take a script and run with it, at least not in my experience. Now, again, a lot of consultants do a lot of good for a lot of people because people take their model and run with it, but that model fits them. But what I found is the majority of chiropractors, they don't have a model that fits them. They don't feel comfortable with this, they don't feel comfortable with that. And it's okay, you can change that stuff, but you got to make sure you change it and it's still effective. I mentioned earlier that if you don't take the model fully, then it might not be as effective, just like a recipe. But you can change the recipe a little bit as long as you test it and tweak it and make sure that it tastes good. And if it doesn't taste quite right, we try it again, change a couple more ingredients and go from there. Same thing goes here. If you have a script from an old consultant that you like, but you don't like, and you want to change a couple things, that's fine, but you still have to test it and tweak it. You've got to create a scheme that matches your identity, as Andy Reid said today. So whether you're considering looking for a coach, especially with the new year coming up here, or you're just working on stuff on your own and setting goals and looking towards the new year, really go back and start thinking about each one of your procedures and figure out if it matches your identity. Because another thing that I've seen over the years is that people have had many consultants, and they've just piled procedures on top of procedures on top of procedures, and they've got too much, and it's just a cluttered mess. I highly recommend at this time of year, break all that down. I think I mentioned that in an earlier blog post. Break it all down and build it simply. Don't use all those steps. Just as simple as it needs to be to match your personality, be effective communication with the patient, and to get you to your end range goal, whatever that is for you with that patient. Whatever the lifetime value of your patient is. And again, as I've mentioned many times in my consulting, that's different for everybody. It doesn't have to be the same. You don't have to you don't have to take someone else's model. You can create your own. So as you're putting stuff together here the rest of this year to get ready for 2014, find a scheme that matches your identity. Find procedures that match your identity. Just be yourself, but create everything else around it, as opposed to trying to change who you are.